If we right click here, we hit view code. It'll bring us here to the back end. And as you can see, it already has us in our namespace, and we have made a form, and and it's basically um, extending another class called form. And we have our constructor here, which is initialized component, which basically generates the UI elements or the basic UI structure of the whole form. You can also make other ones for the constructors for form. In this case, it's form 1. And you can just add different properties based on certain events that are happening in the form. Or you can generate the same form over with another constructor. But anyways, say we want to do something with this data over here. We want to get first name, we want to get last name, we want to get the options that the user chooses. To do that, we're looking for this information based on a submission, or a button click. So if we select submit, we can see here if we go to the events, you will see there's a click event. Now you can type in whatever you want it to be, or by default, if you double click on the click event, it will generate a method for you. And here it is button 1 click. Now where is this button 1 coming from? Well, we didn't change the name of our button. So if we go back over here and we go up here to name, you see that it's button 1. So maybe we want to change it to something else. Maybe we want to change it to button submit. So let's do button underscore submit. Done. There we go, we got a new name. Now it will not change this to button submit, but we can always do that ourselves. So we can do button submit. Ta-da, we got button submit. Awesome. And it deleted our other one that we had before. So in our button submit, we want to get the other uh, text values of the controls that we have. So if we go back over here again, we have our first name. So we got this text box, and this one also has different events, but if we go back over here to properties, we will see that our name is text box 1. So let's change this to a better name, maybe like TB underscore first name. And then we'll change this one to TB underscore last name. And I think I did the first one with camel case there. All right, and maybe in here we want to change radio buttons to actually something different. So radio button male. We can change this from the radio button female. This one to other. There we go. There we go. We got all of these pretty much labeled. And we could also change the group box as well just to make it customized. But we really probably won't need to do anything with it. But it's always good practice to name these that are easily identifiable. There we go. We got all these names done. So if we hit Control S, that should save all those. And we go back over here. Now we can get each one of those controls. So on the click, we want to get these values from these controls and put them into a database. But in this case, let's just console.writeLine the values that are being sent. So we can do that by setting each one's value to a string, or putting its value in a string variable. So let's do first name, and we'll do that equal to text box underscore first name. You'll see that it pops up, and we can do text, and that'll get the value from that. Same with the last name. So, oops, tb underscore last name dot text. Done. Now we can get radio button values, see which one is selected. So we got 3 of these here. Now we can basically, what we're looking for is a property that ensures that one of these is checked. So I think it's called checked in the property. So if we looked here, we'll see that there's a check property. So if that is set to true, then we know that we got one of these radio buttons selected. All right, we go over here. We can do for each, and we'll just say radio button, and we're going to call this RB, and we're going to use the group box. So since it's in a group box called GB underscore options, we can just loop inside of that for radio buttons here. So if we go group box options, there we go. And the reason why this is underlined is because we need to get the controls inside of it. So we do dot controls. Let's make a radio button up here. Let's say radio button selected. And let's set that to null actually for now. So if we go in here, we'll just do if RB dot checked. We're going to assign it to selected. So selected equals RB dot text. Since we should get the text of that, so it should be really string. So in this case, it's going to be text. There we go. So now we got selected, and we got all the values. So now we can just console.writeLine the values. So console.writeLine, and let's say first name is, and we'll put in first name. And now let's just make another line here for last name. Whoops, there we go. And the radio button selector, the text. So last name here. And radio button value. We'll just say radio value. Alright, so we'll change this to last name and selected. Now, if we hit Control S, this should hopefully output the right values to us. Alright, so we got first name. I'll just say John. We'll do Smith, and we can use our tab. And let's select male. And then let's hit submit. And there we go. As you can see in the output down here, we got first name is John, last name is Smith, and he is male. Perfect. So there you go. Alright, so maybe we want to add some form validation to this. So at the moment, if we run this, we can do John, we can do Smith, and maybe we don't select male, female, or other, and we hit submit. Okay, sadly, we don't have the radio value, and we need this stuff selected for sure. So we can just validate this through using a function that we make. In this case, we could do private. So this method is private boolean, and we're going to say validate fields. All right. So we want to check to make sure that each of these fields has data in it. So in this case, what we can do is we can check the first last name, and we can check the radio buttons. Similar to kind of what this code is up here. So here we could just do if TB underscore first name and text. Let's get the values from these again. So let's do first name, last name. Select these, bring these down here. There we go. Now what we want to do here, we'll just check to see if it's not null. So if first name is not equal to null and last name is not equal to null, then we want to check inside of here. We'll do for each. Then we'll do something similar to what we have up here. So we could do for each, radio button this. We can do return true. If none of these radio buttons are checked, then we will just return false. And it looks like we're still getting a little squiggly line up here, and that's because we need to return false just in case if this if statement does not execute. So that would be return false as well. So up here, if, and here we got validate fields. So if validate fields, then we're going to console.write all these lines out. Here we hit Control S, and let's hit start. All right, let's test, say Andrew Smith, and let's not select the radio buttons, and we hit this. We notice that there is no output into the console. But if we do select it, submit, there we go. We got Andrew Smith and we got mail. Awesome.